On the left, playing and piloting that Lost Box deck with that Spiritomb tech. And on the right there, Cristian Sarnataro will be piloting DTE Mew, but has, like I mentioned, a few interesting tech cards there.
Yeah, we'll see them come out throughout the game. I know you guys are probably wondering what these lists fully consist of, because they always have a few different cards here and there. Let's name a few Pokemon and see if you're ready for it. We've got a Ditto.
Ooh, okay.
Always a little bit of fun. A Canceling Cologne. Not often something you often see in a sort of turbo build of Lost Box. We've also got those Grabbers. They're always good fun. And of course, that Spiritomb we mentioned. But the one that I think we're most excited about, Luxray V.
Yeah, a fantastic inclusion that we saw, I believe, in some of the tournaments across the pond over in the US and Canada. And when the regionals there, I believe it was Rowan Stavenoff who piloted that.
Memory.
If I believe I'm correct.
I mean, you might be wrong.
I believe I'm
you.
correct. But yeah, it's a deck that had the Grabbers, had the Luxray V. Just one of those kind of unique cards that have been included to utilize that DTE.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out here, because I think it's going to be vital. When your Spiritomb shutting down those Genesect, you're going to have to find a new way to victory. And if you can set up that Luxray early, maybe you can start making it uncomfortable for the opponent.
Yeah, Arthur on our screen there with his accomplishments in recent times. You know, a top 32 in Lille previously, Malmo Regional top 64 again in Stuttgart. These are all day 2 finishes. And then previously has been playing for quite some time. I've known Arthur throughout the seasons before, and now piloting that Lost Box yet again. Cristian now on our screen. World's top 32 in London. Warsaw Regional top 8. EUIC top 32. And then another top 4 also back in 2018.
Yeah, and you've got to respect these kinds of players now, really probably pushing to make that extra effort to win a regional now that we've got the new circuit, more on the line, more prize money available, the opportunity to qualify for Worlds with a regional win. So all of these factors are bringing out some of these players who often make day 2. They're now taking it that little bit extra seriously, and that's where we're seeing that creativity and deck building is really coming out this season.
Yep, 100% there, Mike, as both players are just finalizing their setup for our round 15 game. This is winning in, both players on 31 match points right now. We reckon 34 is a guaranteed spot in top 8. 33 should be sort of the bubble, you know, nothing to be guaranteed, but this is what we reckon at the moment, as we do see the prize cards coming down.
My goodness, what am I looking at right there?
That's
we got
big.
5 basics.
But what is in those basics is the Spiritomb.
My goodness.
And we go fist bump between the two players. Round 15, winning in action, and Arthur will be kicking us off.
That is not what you want to be seeing if you're a fan of Lost Box right now. If you're watching this thinking, I want to see this Lost Box, get rid of Mew VMAX. We've had enough of it. It's been around for far too long. And that Spiritomb being prized, I mean, it's also the Vs, so that takes away your access to Forest Sealstone, so both the Vs there. You know, there's a Hisuian Heavy Ball, but which one do you take?
Yeah, honestly, depending on how that hand plays out, Arthur is working out now with that Battle VIB pass. What do I have in hand? What's actually in the deck? Uh-oh. What have I got available to myself for future turns? I
mean, we see this technique quite a lot from people of how they deck check. They put the energies at the back, the Pokemon at the front. And at the moment, we're thinking, there's not many Pokemon here. Where are they? And we'll see how that works out here. But it does make the deck check a lot easier when it's either Pokemon or energy. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to navigate this scenario, because you have a game plan going in, and it's concluded with Spiritomb as being disruption and V's being the big knockouts.
Your big attackers, yeah. Especially when a lot of Cristian's side of the board will be those sort of Mew VMAXs, or just the V's in general are quite big tanky Pokemon that Cramorant and Sableye by themselves sometimes struggle a little bit. It's often a 2-turn KO.
Do you go down that more traditional Lost Box route, the kind of one that Sablezard used to do, of just focusing on chipping away Spiritomb? You've got the Greninja to spread some damage out. Just go for the 3 Genesect, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. Does have that capability to eventually maybe hit into the Hisuian Heavy Ball, be able to grab one of those and match up dependent, or sort of turn dependent. Which one Arthur will go for could be very different.
Well, I did get a little flash of Cristian's hand. A lot of Genesect in there. I think I saw 3. So that's going to be setting up wide. And of course, with the double turbo energy build of Mew VMAX, we tend to see a lot of Genesect coming down. Normally the 3 Mew if possible, but with the Luxray, that might take up a spot there too. So we tend to see a nice wide board early on, lots of draw motoring through that deck.
So we do see a concealed cards there, the pitching of the lightning energy from the Greninja, and now the first flower selecting of this Winnan in. Forest Sealstone, identifying that he doesn't have access to the Vs, does hit, or at least one of his Forest Sealstones hits the Lost Zone there, holding onto that water, knowing he might need to utilize multiple different attackers.
Yeah, so on the other side, we know that Double Turbo Energy Mew tends to be quite disruptive. There are the 4-path there, the 3 grabbers, a nice new addition to the deck. And there's also 3 Judge, 1 Iono, so not as thick a disruption package as you might see, but plenty to be getting on with there to break down the opponent. You've also got a Box of Disaster, which is probably more for the Guardy matchup. Gardevoir EX, you know, typically taking their health down quite low. Won't be too applicable here, maybe. I don't think there's many things that can one-hit knock out a Mew VMAX.
No, not at all. Maybe the views, but it looks like there's an opportunity here to have a little look at those prizes as Arta does find a Hisuian Heavy Ball, gets it played down.
Which one did he miss? Was there. Doing the notes there. Which one did he miss?
It does go for the Spiritomb big, because obviously it's turn 1. Cristian identifying exactly that this is going to be coming down, double checking what's in the hand. Only really has 4 draw cards outside of the Genesect Vs that you've already mentioned. Yeah,
I mentioned how there's 3 Genesect V. This hand would have been wonderful if there was no Spiritomb. The addition of that Spiritomb has really changed this turn, and it could completely swing the game.
Does have DTE. 3 Genesect, as you mentioned, just a pass.
Okay. Playing it slow, knowing that there's not going to be much hand disruption from the Lost Box.
If you were Cristian at this point, I mean, knowing that a Dragonite could have come down at any point.
Yeah, it's very risky. You'd have to know the prize card, which is impossible. So, yeah, very risky turn, not even putting down a Genesect just in case.
Not wanting to sacrifice any of those at the moment, but it could be a fantastic read on Arta's side of the board as double cross switch and now are both in the Lost Zone. Very unique build here by Arta. As you mentioned, the Ditto in the deck as well. But cross switches, something we don't see too often nowadays in Lost Box variants.
I mean, the transformative start on the Ditto, no longer important, but I've seen some interesting combinations at the start can allow you to get that much needed Comfey or Cramorant in that first set of attacks. But outside that first turn, is just a dead card in the deck, but I'm sure just getting that Spiritomb out of the prizes honestly could be just the biggest factor here.
Yep, as we do see another concealed cards for Arta. Sableye and Super Rod, so can start replenishing some of those energies at his will.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how quickly this Lost Zone filled up. If there was access to the Dragonite, or, well, I mean, the Raikou wouldn't get the knockout. If there was access to the Dragonite, it would be possible right now. And I'm sure at this stage, you know, these players have played 14 rounds of Swiss. They've probably been next to each other at some point, most likely. So they'd have had a chance to see each other's decks and, you know, get a read on what they're playing up against. They might not know the individual counts of stuff or the tech cards, but they're definitely going to know the general consensus. So no Dragonite here.
Yeah, those usual lightning, water energies would have been great on the Dragonite V, but it's going on to the Greninja. This turn from this Mirage Gate.
I mean, you can't get rid of that Spiritomb, can you? That's there for good, most likely.
If you were Cristian, you were seeing Arta's turn play out, having to force the Hisuian Heavy Ball after quite a bit of digging to then place down the Spiritomb. You would have thought, well, I might have been a bit lucky here, but all of a sudden, things have turned.
I mean, that's where this matchup really swings in favor of the Lost Box. I mean, it's already a reasonably good matchup. To then have that Spiritomb on top, it really elevates it to a new level. There's going to be a chance now to copy Technoblast.
Technoblast for a knockout. Very simple benching of the Genesect V, attachment of the DTE, evolution up to the new VMAX.
Yeah, not looking like there's much going on in that hand. It's going to be relying on the top decks here. I mean, hopefully just that knockout was disruptive enough. I guess that's the hope at this stage, but Sableye is going to start being active soon.
Yep, this Colress experiment pushing Arta up to 9 in the Lost Zone. creeping slowly closer and closer to a potential top 8 spot.
Of course, yeah, this is the win and in stage of today. Anyone who's tuning in right now, we're close to that top 8. Either of these players wins this game, and they are secured into that top 8. We'll be playing for the Lille Regional Championship and a spot at Worlds guaranteed.
Not to mention all the other prizes in the new structure. Fantastic to even get to this stage. Like I said, 31 match points.
Especially with that 500 CP needed to make Worlds. Every top finish in regionals will be good towards that. And both these guys will be finishing high up on the Lille leaderboard.
Still early in the season as well. Lots of stipends to come. Lots of tournaments to come.
Only on our second stop here.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels like yesterday we were concluding last season.
Saberlight into the active spot now. Switch cart into it. Attachment from hand. Announcement of Lost Mine. Just double checking the 10 in the lost zone.
I always loved that with Lost Box. Always checking after you've put yourself in a position where you have to go for it. You have a sort of internal clock when you play a lot of Lost Box. I know you're a Lost Box player. You kind of just know what number you're at after a while, don't you?
100%. And there's just a 120 on the Genesect V. Obviously, the Mew cannot attack right now with the Technoblast, having been used in the last turn.
Okay, part of the peak. I mean, you can't draw with the Genesect anyway, so that's probably worth it. But there is one card. I mean, at this point, Mew VMAX is stopped from doing its game plan of drawing through lots of cards, but there is a penny in the Mew VMAX list, so it will be able to pick up those Genesect when they've been damaged. But if you can't find it, it's not much use, and typically Mew relies heavily on drawing through their deck extremely fast.
Yeah, it's just a return back onto Cristian's turn after another Lost Mine. Very instant sort of pick. That Mew now on 140 damage.
For a Seal Stone is good though. Okay, just fixing up those numbers.
Yeah, making it a little bit easier for everyone. It's at 140 damage.
Good
170
maths.
Remaining.
Could you get that when it was a 6, a 5, and a 3? It was only once it was 6, 6, 2.
I can add.
You can add?
Just about.
Can't read cards though.
No, not really. Small text. Small text. Big dives.
Old eyes.
So for a Sealstone on the Genesect V, what can Cristian muster up here? One prize down. 5 announcements of attacks to go in reality for Cristian. I wonder if Arta got anything special out of those prizes as well, since 2 have been taken so far.
It's mostly just Pokemon, isn't it?
Wow. Good Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
There's another Sableye in there.
Is there any Vs maybe? Because that could, end the game quite quickly if you get another Genesect down. Yeah, the Forest Sealstone now will be searching for any card of choice in the deck. Just doing a deck check. This is the first time we're able to go through the deck, so we'll be checking which Pokemon are in the deck, checking the energy, checking all the little tech cards that might be needed. And at this point, it could just be a fresh hand moment. Just start again, see what we can get. But if you can get that Mew down as well, it does open up the opportunity for a Psychic Leap. It's always very dangerous when you've only got one Mew in play after the Psychic Leap. So really needs to find lots more options here.
Yeah, just kind of double checking what he has access to. Does target that Judge. Just being placed down for the moment.
Energy attachment worth it here? It's such a small resource. You've got to keep hold of as many of them as possible, right?
Exactly. Lost Vacuum. Only 2 targets, but gets rid of the Artisan there, reducing the options to get another Pokemon down. And there is the Judge.
Oh, I'm glad we don't have to do this too often. Back in the day, Mew VMAX hoying a Judge down on the table and saying, see if you can get it off of 4 cards, especially for a Lost Box player after they've built up such a big hand. It's not like Iono, where if there's anything good left in the deck, you're likely to draw into it. You're literally going to get 4 random cards off that Judge. I mean, it's been around a long time in the Pokemon TCG, and it's always found a way to be a nuisance in the format.
Has a grabber.
Gets a look at the hand. That's one of the side benefits of the grabber that people don't tend to talk about much. Is you can have a look at their hand and work out how to play around it.
You may put a Pokemon there you find there in the hand and put it to the bottom of the deck.
No
So,
Pokemon.
Didn't work.
Nope. They're all at the prizes.
Well, true. Did grab the Dragonite V out of the prizes. Saw that earlier in hand. Does have Roxanne there as well. We do see the flower selecting. Is that an easy choice?
I mean, in theory, I guess it was that or the Ditto, right? And Ditto's not useful now, but I guess you might be able to thin it at some point later on.
A little bit easier to thin, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. That Hisuian Heavy Ball being eyed up. What could be remaining, something like a Raikou, sorry, Sableye.
Which one they take in?
Couple
You
of
can see them
different
all there.
options. Yep, Sableye.
I mean, Sableye is the traditional route of Lost Box to beat Mew. So if you just keep chaining Sableye, you eventually get through enough Genesect. So why not?
Yeah, and when you're not being disrupted, no lost cities in Cristian's deck, because it is just 4-path. Here comes the Lost Mine onto the bench.
That's a pass. There's no switch out, so that's gonna. You see the cross switcher there. So there's a bit of a chance, but of course we saw the Mew needs to be reset because of the Technoblast secondary text that you can't attack during your next turn. So now it has to be reset. Now that Mew VMAX not going to be knocking out a Sableye, just another Comfey, but the chance to keep chaining those attacks at some point. There we go. We find another attacker, so it might be able to use something else other than that Technoblast, which is really slowing down the pace of these knockouts.
Yeah, does immediately activate the Roxanne, though, having taken 3 knockouts, despite not really being able to do too much. Still forcing Arthur into kind of awkward scenarios.
Just look how thick that deck is for Mew. You don't normally see that at this stage. Normally motoring through the deck, thinning it down, finding everything you need.
1 card in the discard.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not many at all. What was in that hand? We didn't see it, but, you know, 2 cards with no Genesect draws. It's going to be really tricky here. That Spiritomb has been a bit of an MVP at this event. A very easily forgotten card for a while. When it first came out, everyone thought, well, this is the end of Mew. Spiritomb stopped getting played because it was the end of Mew, and then Mew has come back, and now Spiritomb's come back, and it's a bit of a cycle going on.
Sableye targeting the Genesect. There's a little cheeky heal from a switch card as well. Just going to slow it down, and another KO. That's 4. Now, announcements back to back.
Yeah, just about scraping by.
Yeah, it's still in the game. This is how good Mew VMAX is.
Doesn't need to draw.
Just keep attacking.
Put the path down, don't bump it.
Right, Super Rod looks like it's coming down, because those Sableyes are not attached to one another.
Surely this can't last forever, though. Surely at some point the Mew VMAX won't be able to announce an attack. With that Spiritomb down, a thick deck, off that Roxanne, you know, there's no other Roxanne, right? There's 2 Roxanne, so there is another Roxanne. So you could see another disruption happen. And like the switch outs are going. We've had an escape rope and a switch cart, which there's only 1 of each.
There's the free pivot option from Arta there with the Peach Court in play as well. Of course, we'll be digging for those Sableyes. Chorus's Experiment comes down. No disruption from Arta's side of the board.
Do you know, the only way I think we can get another attack next turn is if there's a penny. That's the, like, switch into a penny, pick it up, and that would also remove a load of damage too. So we are really grasping at the last option.
The last resources available, yeah. I don't know how, was that a Sableye and the Psychic Energy as well?
Dreamy.
Yeah, that was a great Chorus's Experiment there as a flower selecting comes down as well. Is that a Chorus Experiment and a Nest Ball? Could have targeted another Sableye there as an option.
Down they go. Got the free retreat, so can get a Sableye attack off here. Can potentially Chorus to get more thinning. We might just leave it in the deck in case there's any disruption.
Here we go. Sableye in the active. Lost Mine. Targeting the damaged Genesect that had 80 HP left. So 4 goes on the Mew VMAX.
Okay,
there's a Mew.
There's a Mew, so we can...
And is that a Cramoran?
It's a Cramomatic, but there's no
targets?
No targets, because there's a tool in there, but of course they're no longer considered item cards, so it will be just a retreat pass.
just 2 attack announcements from either player right now. Potentially 1 from Arta if he's able to take a big KO here. Super Rod, Mirage Gate in hand, Dragonite V in hand.
2 Mirage Gate, is that?
Is that enough?
I think he's got the second Mirage Gate. There it is.
Second Mirage Gate with the water energy. Free retreat with the beach court. Dragonite V taking game 1 for Arta there. Spiritomb MVP.
Spiritomb coming in clutch there. I think we can all agree that Fettered in Misfortune has just won 2 on-stream matches back-to-back there. Was so good against the Lugia, denying that Luminion. Now we see it here, denying the Genesect from drawing. This is the kind of card that you include because you feel like you want to win that matchup. That's one of those that you do not want to lose to. And Mew VMAX has been on a bit of an uptrend recently. A lot of people getting away with it at events, not coming across Spiritomb. Consequently, more Spiritomb going in, covers Lugia, covers Mew VMAX.
Yeah, we've seen a number of Mew VMAX players just on the cusp of potentially a top 8 when we were looking at the pairings a moment ago. And really, Spiritomb just coming up trumps. You know, a lot of people in that particular Pokemon space will be playing like a Drapion V or have done previously. But Drapion V only really targets the Mew VMAX. Sometimes, I guess, Guardy as well, if it's able to utilize some of the Mirage Gates on it. But Spiritomb being able to target both Mew and something like the Lugia, at least disrupts their game plan. Really just showing how much of a tech it is in some of these decks.
It's appeared in a bit of Arceus as well. I guess it could be in a Tina Lost box as well.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of those quite splashable cards. The only downside to it, 60 hit points, can favor something like a Sableye when it's trying to take multiple knockouts. But it's been showing up and really been important today. And I think that's just credit to all those people reading the meta, recognizing what's going to be about, and coming through on top. And it's been Lost Box and Gardevoir that have really converted at this event, both decks that have featured Spiritomb fairly heavily. So for those of you who are looking through your cards right now and thinking, where's my Spiritomb gone? Yeah, you want to get that one out and chuck it in whatever deck you're thinking to play.
Yeah, dig it back out your bulk. But it really shouldn't be bulk, because it's a good card in general anyway.
Depends on how many you've got. I mean, I've got too many that I can put them all in my competitive cards, so I put the rest of them in my bulk. Yeah, it's one of those easy to forget cards, and I think the Mew, we've seen Fusion Mew do quite well here. I think a lot of the Mew VMAX that's done well is Fusion Mew, so that can get around it with those Fusion Energy on the Genesect. But for the traditional Double Turbo Energy Mew, the addition of Spiritomb into the meta pretty much destroyed the Double Turbo Energy build, and consequently we've only seen it have a little bit of resurgence here and there when it's been able to dodge around those Spiritomb. Yeah,
like you said, it comes sort of swings and roundabouts with the meta. Sometimes when there's a downtick in the Mew, people will just generally take out Spiritomb, or even sometimes take out the Drapion Vs, for example. And it just comes down to some of these tournaments where some people are more comfortable playing Mew VMAX, as we do see both our players. And yet again, Mike, in that top left corner, Spiritomb hiding away for a little bit at least.
I think Spiritomb's had enough. It's like, I've done my job. I won you game 1.
It's on you, Arta. It's on you.
See if we can find a different route. Oh, there we see that Ditto we spoke about. Able to really make your first turns versatile. You can either be a Comfey or a Cramorant most of the time. Has to be in the active to be able to transform. But when it does, it can be the way you finish off the turn or the way you start it.
Yep, but Cristian this time will be able to use Fusion Strike system. Going first, no Spiritomb down yet. So, can Cristian do enough on this first turn to prepare his board for what might be coming?
This is like the opposite advice for a marathon. You want to sprint at the beginning, get as far ahead as possible, and then walk the rest of the way. And that's going to be what it's like here for the Mew VMAX, is trying to motor through the deck as much as possible, use as many Fusion Strike systems as possible, maybe even set up that Luxray, because we didn't get to see that last time. I don't think it ever would have been possible to get into play based off of the draws. So you can see it there off the Battle VIP pass. And this is potentially one of those games that could end quite quickly. With Spiritomb gone, an early set of draws, it could be very heavily in favor of Mew.
Yeah, we haven't really quite touched on the Luxray V too much here, but the 210 Lightning Pokemon with a Fang Snipe attack for DTE. 30 damage, your opponent reveals their hand, and you discard a trainer card you find there. So one card in the Text Mew list where you can disrupt the trainer cards, and one card with the grabber where you're disrupting Pokemon.
Exactly, with that double turbo energy, it does go down to 10, so you're You can also gust things up and sort of trap them whilst taking away their switch outs. I'm not sure how effective it is because it does delay a game, but it doesn't necessarily win you a game. So it can be disruptive, get rid of resources, delay them, but you definitely at some point have to switch back into your traditional Mew VMAX strategy and start taking the game.
Yeah, it doesn't give you that option to draw more cards, of course, because it is not a Fusion Strike Pokemon with Fusion Strike system. As we do have the Battle VIP pass, I think after probably again seeing once again that the Spiritomb is not available. So there's the Radiant Greninja coming down as the first target. Looks like it's eyeing up a V Pokemon. Again, maybe to utilize for a Sealstone, maybe to grab the Hisuian Heavy Ball to get that Spiritomb down.
I mean, this is where the Ditto is pretty smart in this list, because sometimes you'll just try and low roll into a Cramorant and attack first turn, and then other times you'll look to try and reach for that 7, get the Mirage Gate off and attack with either a Greninja or a Dragonite/Raikou early on. And because of that Ditto, you can make that decision after a few flower selectings rather than having to make it straight away when you place it down on the board. So that Ditto might be a Comfey if those early flower selectings are worth it.
Yeah, number of options for itself. Fantastic little card. I don't actually own one, but
I picked up 2 the other day, so I'll give you one.
Thank you very much. I'll get a chance to play Arta's list, given the opportunity. But continue seeing here, I think just a number of options. Arta's just shuffling up now after the Battle VIP pass, making a few notes of what is prized, what he has access to. I'm sure he's written Spiritomb in big letters on that notepad as well.
What's quite fun with that Ditto, because of the artwork, it's meant to be hiding in the rocks. Because of the shininess, you can really see it popping out on the artwork down there.
It's just a smile it has, isn't it? I'm coming. I'm coming.
I could be anything. There we go. That's an easy flower selecting right there. Some energy that will allow to have a little bit more draw. So there is switch outs there. 2 switch outs. I think a Chorus Experiment could really open up this turn if it comes off one of these flower selectings.
Into the Ditto with the ability, transformative start. Find yourself a Pokemon from your deck and swap it in after discarding everything attached to the Ditto and itself.
Also thins out a card there, so that's increasing the odds of getting a Chorus Experiment here, or for a Sealstone, or that Lost Vacuum, all of which are part of that combo piece to get that early V attack off in the turbo list.
So let's see, it's concealed cards first now with the Lightning Energy. Artisan and a Water.
Something to hit with the Lost Vacuum if that kind of comes in naturally.
Flower select number 2. Looks like a switch card.
Maybe a Mirage Gate there, didn't quite see it. And then they've got the switch outs to be able to get the knockout here. I mean, the only thing they can't get a knockout on is the Luxray with the Raikou, unless they bench another Pokemon, which they can't do. Yeah, the opponent's only got 4 on the bench, so out of range. So that Luxray would be the optimal escape rope target to push up.
Easy choice once again.
No Chorus though.
Free in the Lost Zone, yeah, not quite there.
Do you risk it fleet-footed for Chorus?
Probably not quite enough. You don't really want to put a V in the active spot.
Wow.
Cristian with another chance to use Fusion Strike system. Let's go. Come on.
Gets to play his deck. He gets to have fun.
Gets to have fun. Yeah.
I mean, it is a tough old deck to play when that Spiritomb's in play, as we saw in that last game. And I think this one really highlights why that Spiritomb's in the deck. It's a completely different game. Of course, in the prizes here, these players need a result to try and get into that top 8. So neither of them will want to draw here. And this could be huge.
Judge first. Remember, has a maximum of draw up to 5 cards because that Luxray V is sitting there on the bench currently. Mew VMAX in the active spots. 1 power tablet played already.
Could go for a Psychic Leap and not have to worry about chaining attacks then.
Yep, and without having to shuffle in necessarily as well. Does have the Grabber again.
A lot of playable cards there.
Get some information, it's always good. Chromatic, Grabber gone. Oh, pulled the sleeves up, expecting the heads.
Right.
Featherball.
This is it. Thinning out that deck too. Hand now down to 1 card.
Just needed to have just good cards remaining for when that Spiritomb does come down. But Cristian again would have thought, well, it hasn't come down turn 1 from those battle VIP pass, and you've been pitching them into the loss zone. It's prize again.
100%. And what are the chances you prize Spiritomb in 2 games? I mean, that's why you play a Hisuian Heavy Ball, to help you out in that situation.
Hits the energy. Now can start the prize race.
Just the one. Ultra Ball, a very good card to thin.
Escape Rope. So is able to, and then because of the 2 Mew VMAX, is just able to cross Fusion Strike for that Max Miracle. 110 damage, more than enough to take out a Comfy in the active spot. Chorus Experiment, was that off? Oh, after the Judge.
Yeah, that was off the Judge. I mean, there's a Forest Sealstone there. So options are going to be opened up, and you've got to credit Arthur right now. He's believing that this is possible, this game, without the Spiritomb. You know, you don't need the Spiritomb. There is a way around it. You know, it's a somewhat favorable matchup. You know, sometimes we see the Kyogre go into the build to help in the matchup. Sometimes you see a Drapion back in the day and Spiritomb now. But you do have that ability to hit big numbers, and all you got to do is take out 3 Genesect with that Luxray V. Acts like a Genesect in that game plan of just knocking out 3 2-prize Pokemon.
That Mew on the bench also looking quite an easy target right now as well. Of course,
true.
Only needing 1 fewer bench Pokemon for Raikou to take a knockout.
Could
with
be
that
a
Lightning
Greninja
Rondo.
target.
Yep. Greninja, more cards being seen, more consistency. This is why so many people have been able to convert into day 2 with Lost Box variants. Escape Rope. Easy choice from Cristian.
Another little flower selecting here. Just going to be deciding between the 2 of them. One last little check of the hand. Anything important? Has got 3 Mirage Gate in there, so...
Up to 7 now as well.
Yeah, lots of options available.
Checking the energies.
Yeah, you see that discard pile check is always done before the Super Rod. Chuck it all back in. Mirage Gate will now be able to hit all the targets needed for that Greninja attack. And this is where you see that Greninja being so powerful in so many matchups. It's not just about that taking 2 small prizes. It's the fact that you've got 90 damage on 2 different Pokemon. When you start spreading a lot of damage, 180 damage in play on a single prize Pokemon is a lot of damage.
Yeah, it was a little bit different in game 1 where he had to use the Greninja to attack. Only really getting half the value you normally would.
See what he got off that for a Sealstone, have a guess.
No, there's only one option, surely. No, maybe not.
Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Yeah.
You've got to be confident there, Alex. I've given you the...
I also sort of flick of a Sableye, so I was like, okay, well, maybe targeting future turns.
Yeah, there it is. And that'll just help support the game plan now, especially if a Roxanne comes down later, if a Part of the Peak comes into play and a Judge or something like that, just help to make things more tricky.
Wondering Cristian's position with the hand that he has. I think I saw another Judge, Escape Rope himself, Power Tablet. He's got a few playable cards there. Hisuian Heavy Ball coming down for that Spiritomb potentially once again. There it is.
Well, that has just made Cristian's board fettered in misfortune. That ability.
You
really
enjoyed that, didn't you?
I did. That's going to make it real hard to use those Genesects now. And of course, both players have gone a fair whack through their decks, has allowed them to get everything they need. And it's now just about the race.
Double Genesect targeted. So that is the race initiated from their side.
As you mentioned, that Mew is a good target. It could get evolved. We've seen that before sometimes in this matchup, just evolving all the Mews, accepting that Psychic Leap is not an option, just trying to put them out of range. And I guess that's why I didn't target the Mew V, because if you put that damage on the Mew V, that would instantly get evolved and just be the start of that journey.
Cristian just counting those power tablets that are available to him. Just double checking the resources, switch carts, because he's going to have to begin chaining attacks in some way if there's no other DTE between the Mew V Maxes.
Yeah, the one switch cart is included for this scenario here, where you've got the 90 damage on either of them. It just starts skewing the maths in favor with those Sableye sprinkles of Lost Mine.
I wonder, since Arta didn't start targeting the Mew or the Mew VMAXs on the board, is it worth evolving up the third one? Just chooses to use Judge, disrupt, and keep disrupting.
Can't draw, though, out of this Judge. Spiritomb in play.
Yeah, we'll take prize, though. Or can take a prize. DT already on the bench Mew. So we'll have 5 cards in hand after the end of his turn.
Just to remind you guys at home who might be just tuning in, this is the final round of Swiss at Lille. Both these players need to win to make it into that top 8. So where Arta has got that first game, we need 2 games from Cristian to get that win. And Arta right now is confident. He's confident in this game. He thinks he can make it the whole way.
Yeah, great hand grabber there to just get some information. KO taken on the Radiant Greninja, but the hand was double Chorus's Experiment for a Sealstone, which obviously has been used, and no Pokemon once again. I think Roxanne's also potentially just sat there waiting for a latter turn. So, you know, just one more knockout and Roxanne comes down out of nowhere. This Chorus Experiment should put us up to 9 now.
There we go, and with one flower selecting, as long as you get a switch out, which I think there was a switch card in that Chorus, you can go into that Sableye and start the damage train on those Genesect.
Comfey, 10. Activates that Lost Mine. So and we're back at it again.
10 in the Lost Zone. I mean, we had that Lost Vacuum in there as well if it was needed. That's the advantage of the Turbo list. You've got multiple ways you can get to 10 quickly.
Playing some cards down, finning.
You ever seen that before for a Sealstone on a Comfey?
Only when you need to.
Not much you can do with that.
Unfortunately not. Used already anyway, as we do see a switch card played here. So many resources still available in Arta's hand as well.
Yeah, all those extra Chorus are useful at this stage of the game to help you out of those tougher hands.
Super Rods, Mirage Gate, as he does target with the first Genesect to take his first 2 prizes. 100 damage on that Genesect. The final 20 from Lost Mine on the other Genesect that had damage on it.
The Forest Sealstone can get the penny.
Clean pickup here.
Time for a penny out that deck, maybe. And all Judges being selected. Was it in the prizes? I didn't see.
It's very possible. I don't think I have noticed it in the deck just then.
I mean, this is the exact scenario you have it for, isn't it? To try and take some damage off the board.
Could have been a massive pickup, as he does Lost Zone some cards as well, just to make sure. Doesn't want to target the Comfey Sealstone.
Let it hold.
There's an Iono. Good read, potentially again. Of course, had the grabber from previous turn. Knowing that Arta had a Chorus's Experiment and Roxanne as well.
Exactly.
Make sure they go to the bottom.
Iono over Judge in that scenario. That's really that synergy with the grabber comes through. And at this stage, it is just announce attacks and disrupt.
Yeah, what else is in Cristian's hand there? Looks like Max Miracle. 110, KOing the Sableye again. Nest Ball in hand.
I mean, can you chain another Sableye off of that Iono? We see the Nest Ball. So that should get one down, because I think there's one in... No, it's just a Cramorant. So, is there one discarded earlier?
Yeah, not available to have the second Sableye right now. We haven't seen Cram attack too often in this kind of matchup, but at least it's efficient.
I mean, it's just getting damage on the board every turn, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yeah. There's the Psychic Energy and the Super Rods. Surely, if unable to get the Sableye right now, Psychic Energy is chosen. Oh, Sableye was in hand.
I thought there was another Sableye in the deck or the hand, so I guess the Cramorant just down there is an option if
Fail
needed.
safe, yeah.
Just in case that energy didn't come
Cross
through.
Switcher as well.
Oh,
into
wow.
the Luxray. It's quite a big turn here from Arta. Does reactivate the Mew VMAX. Well, actually had Max Miracle last turn, so that is a KO with, I believe, 80 damage. So 4 remaining.
You can finish off with the Raikou next turn if that Luxray doesn't move. There is a double Turbo Energy in the hand, so can retreat.
Oh,
Ooh,
just reconfirming the damage counter placements there. Energy retreat Again, just having to retreat and announce attack.
Okay, what was that one energy on the new VMAX for, do you think? I mean, I guess it doesn't need any more than 3 on the Luxray to knock it out with the Raikou. So I was just thinking I'll put the one somewhere else.
Yeah, agreed. Just kind of move between what's available here. Chorus experiment.
Yeah, this is those final stages. So you see 2 prizes remaining for both players here. A knockout on either the Mew-V or Luxray on the bench will do it for Arta. We saw those cross switches before, so we know there's 4. You've got to be able to try and get the other 2. It's going to be pretty tricky. I think they're both still in deck, unless there was one prize which we didn't notice.
Yeah, no other gust options other than the cross switches. You know, one of those spaces that needs to be foregone for the cross switcher space. We do see the beach court.
We're going to get off of this flower selecting.
Is that a rocks?
Yeah, well, this is that tense moment because can't really afford to lose a turn, because every possibility that the boss's orders will come out and they'll be able to finish off the game. Obviously, it's tough with that Spiritomb in play to do it for the Mew VMAX, but it is just one attack away. But it might end up just being a 1 prize turn for the Mew VMAX, so he might be able to have another chance to look for what is needed.
Cards being played down just to pass. Arta has 1 more turn to try and target down something that isn't as hard to knock out as a Mew VMAX. There's
this is it.
Was that the penny also just drawn as well?
I think so. I mean, that was the max miracle there. So 1 prize remaining for Cristian. Arta has to try and find a way to get 2 prizes here. Dragonite will come down.
Final turn. It's on the clock here.
Super Rod. There's a Mirage Gate in hand, so there's the ability to accelerate to both the Raikou and the Dragonite, most likely, but you only need the Raikou here. And a gust option, so those cross switches are going to be vital.
Yep, super important. Arta does have to hit those. Quite a small deck as well.
Oh, you see there's a cross switcher in there. We saw it. It's a very thin deck. This Roxanne might be the one that does it. Don't need anything more than the Raikou.
Yeah, I think it's safer just in case there's a awkward flower selecting.
Yeah, don't want any energy here because the beach court's in play. So get as many of them out of the deck as possible. So Roxanne, 2 cross switches in the deck. This could be to make it into.
Full hand.
Takes the whole deck. He's got it then.
Should guarantee it. Both Luxray and Mew VMAX with just 180 HP left.
Mew V, Luxray, either are possible. Raikou going to take the knockout. That means Arta's going to get the win, and Arta will be going through into that top 8. An amazing performance with Lost Box there.
Incredible. We got to see all 4 cross switches used by Arta there in that game too, to be able to take down Mew VMAX.
Yeah, the Spiritomb tried hiding in the prize cards on both occasions. Asuan Heavy Ball fished it out and allowed it to disrupt that Mew VMAX. It was close.
It was
but
close.
When that Spiritomb's there, it's going to be far too tough.
Yeah, every time it looked like Cristian really was only 1 attack away. Despite having a Spiritomb being faced up against on the bench there with not too much he could do, was done his best. He played every card where possible. Game 1 utilized all of the switching outs to kind of keep chaining attacks. Game 2 had the multiple judges, just fell a little bit short, but shouldn't be too unhappy. 31 points, he's done super well across 2 days.
Yeah.
But it is Arta who will be likely to proceed to top 8. Don't want to guarantee anything, but I'm pretty sure at 34 points.
Yeah, I mean, Cristian not able to find the penny at the right moments as well. Another card that can help out in that matchup. To be honest, that first game, it was surprising to see that many attacks chained when it was just Technoblast after Technoblast. And that's the effect of that Spiritomb, really pushes you to top deck well. And I think this is the kind of tech card that can win you a whole event. We see Spiritomb has appeared on stream multiple times, in Lost Box, in Gardevoir. It seems to be the card that is coming out on top as the most important tech card. None of us predicted it. I said Path, similar effect, but Spiritomb was the one that did it. I think we can all safely say Spiritomb is the best tech card at this event.
It's worked super well, and as we've already alluded to